for both these teams.
It's such a big deal, and I'm glad we're straight into draft already. The winner of today extends their season beyond just the next round. While they could still be in contention for the conference championship, the win here qualifies them for LTA playoffs. So important. Loser will go home here.
Exactly. You know, you lose today, you are done for the year. You can't go to Worlds. And it would be the first time that Cloud9 had ever missed back-to-back Worlds. They did not go last year. So heavy stakes here today for these two teams. But it's been 100 Thieves that have been absolutely on fire lately. This team has been killing it in the best of fives, and it's been Cloud9, you know, with that role reversal that is the team that has been struggling.
Yeah, I was really surprised to see the Lounge predict 3 out of 4 for Cloud9, considering the performances we saw just last weekend. I think 100 Thieves is a real contender here, but getting into the draft, we have Yone, Trundle, and the Wukong banned out by C9. Over on the other side, 100 Thieves playing the red side tax with Pantheon and Azir alongside that Poppy. First pick, very standard stuff. The Orianna locked in here for C9.
I think just giving Loki something that he can be okay in lane with and scale well in game one is smart. But then, like always, Doka's just going to lock in Rumble as soon as it is possible. Every single time he's been on the LTA stage, it's what he's done. First game Fearless Rumble for Doka again. And
we have an instant response here, so they're clearly expecting that. They have the Galio counter, you know, to this Rumble or answer, whatever you want to call it, and then pairing that with the Nocturne. So Nocturne plus Orianna Shockwave combo, the Galio to come in over the top. They are going full dive here. And 100 Thieves are kind of already showcasing the same with that Vi being drafted. You know, you can't just pivot when you have Vi and say, oh, we're just going to play a poke comp instead, or we're going to play peel back. Vi really only does one thing. So both teams are just going right at each other here. The Akali, I feel, could be quite difficult to navigate here against the Galio in the team fights, because you can be taunted out of your smoke screen, which makes things really, really tough for that Akali.
It's also something that Quid loves to play. It was their game one pick in their Lion best of 5 as well. It was actually the first melee champion he'd played in Split 3 after always spamming the range champions. And we were thinking, hey, maybe this is a different type of draft strategy for them. Then last week he played great on range champions, so he's just improved. But it did start with his Akali game.
And it was great to see him back in the melee carries, right? This is what a lot of people associate with Quid as a player, is the ability to carry games on these melee assassin type of mid laners compared to the more control mage styles. But getting into the second half of the draft here, both sides, they've got their solo lanes, they've got their junglers, so it's going to be bottom side bans as the focus, and it's 2 supports so far with the Bard and the Nico banned away.
Yeah, and it just seems like a lot of targeting in towards Vulcan. Obviously, Bard has been getting popular in general in the league, but Vulcan, one of the best Bard players in the league, absolutely. They're going to take away the Alistar as well, so that does lead me to believe that they might be wanting to go for a Rell here. It's a great combo with the Rumble, and so we'll be curious to see if Cloud9 is going to care about that, or if they're going to actually ban out the Rell here to try to deny what feels like the obvious pick the 100 Thieves would be going for.
Yeah, and it's game one with no AD carry ban, so I wonder when we'd see something like Yunara or Varus. But at the same time, a champion like Kai'Sa does pair well in these dive compositions to push you over the top. But with Yunara being available, wouldn't be surprised if they lock it in here.
I think it's probably Rell. I mean, to me, the Alistar ban just screams Rell, so it's kind of what I am expecting them to go for here. But definitely could be paired with it, Yunara on 5 if they want to. Zven has been playing a ton of Corki, and they're just going to insta-lock the Corki. He has been playing a lot of this. He hasn't been playing a lot of the standard crit marksman that a lot of other people have been prioritizing. So I'm going to be curious to see, you know, where FBI wants to take this. You know, how nervous is he about the potential dive? You can go something like Yunara, but you're playing against Galio, Nocturne, you know, the Nautilus as well. Like, you are going to want safety. So how nervous is he? Does he go Ezreal or Xayah? Those are kind of the more safe picks, and it is going to be the Ezreal. I think it makes a lot of sense just based on the composition that they're showing. There's no ability to outplay Nautilus ult into Nocturne Galio ult.
Especially with the Orianna right on top of it, with the timing, if you have the knock wave perfectly coming through, like, this is a massive amount of threat and dive. I don't think that you're playing too cautious or taking the easy way out here, locking in the Ezreal. It feels kind of mandatory.
Yeah, and the thing I always love about the Ezreal is when both comps are aggressive, not only can you stay safe, but you have the True Shot Barrage to be throwing in on that Vi ulted target, right? So you can assist on the dive. Obviously, both teams are going to be kind of full sending it, and it feels like the AD carries are going to be more out on their own, trying to survive in this case. So it's going to be an exciting game number one. These kind of compositions tend to snowball very heavily one way or the other.
That's exactly what I was going to say, and with how much scrapping 100 Thieves has been doing lately, there is that pretty high chance we see some fights early and often. But it's hard to say with that, Flowers, because game ones are often the touchy-feely games. With these compositions, you're expecting to see a lot of fighting.
When you have your top side being triple melee, like they are playing a 4 melee team, I feel like they really do need to play aggressive. And my big question is, how can this Akali navigate, all of the CC, all of the difficulty that is there on that C9 side? There's so many answers for the smoke screen, for that shroud that is supposed to keep you safe, that is supposed to make you untargetable. You can get taunted out of it, you can get feared out of it, you can get hit by shockwave in it. All of this AoE, all of that CC could make Quid's life really, really difficult. So he's going to have to approach these fights very carefully.
I also want to see how they approach this early game, because Blaber is a big-time enjoyer of having winning lanes to try and get as many crabs as possible. And I think if C9 plays these lanes properly, there's a chance they can get 2 or 3 lanes of prio. The big one for me to watch is going to be the top lane with Galio and Rumble to see who can get that shove early. Galio being an counter pick or answer, depending on how you look at it. But the fact that they gave the Rumble knowing it was first picked so they could lock the Galio instantly makes me think that Thanatos has been wanting this matchup.
Exactly, because you look at Rumble, you look at the popularity of this character, how frequently he is picked or banned, and the fact that he goes over to red side in game 1, and then Cloud9 on blue just opts for a very standard safe pick. It looks like we are going to be getting back in the game here pretty soon, and I think that Nautilus is also going to be a huge problem for the side of 100 Thieves if they fall behind, considering you don't have a tanky top laner. You have, like we were already talking about, this Akali that if she's pulled out of the smoke, she is immediately in danger. Nautilus ulti to mark her, you pop the smoke, then you're immediately taunted. It doesn't even matter. Like, you're just dead.
Yeah, it's really difficult to play against these kind of compositions, but if you can play it really well and be able to dodge out these CCs, be able to draw a lot of pressure, then that is creating a ton of space for your teammates, right? If they're going to be sending the taunt and the fear and the Nautilus ult and all these things on the Akali, well, what's happening to FBI? Nothing, right? FBI is going to be free firing. So the question is, can Quid be able to absorb that pressure, create space and still have a lot of value in these fights? Both Loki and Quid coming off a great series last week.
Yeah.
These guys really were on fire for their teams, and I think they are going to be such a big part of success or failure for either squad.
I mean, Quid and River were absolutely insane last week in their 3-0 against Team Liquid. I will say that even when 100 Thieves was struggling, I know a lot have been made about Dokla versus Sniper, but Quid and River weren't performing that well either. So last week, I'd say they were the big carries for the team, with Quid getting the player of the series, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and talking to FBI in the interview that I just did with him, he was saying they felt a lot of their issues were about individual performance, right? It wasn't just about Dokla coming in; it's about players not playing to the level that is expected of them normally, and it feels that they're playing just like a lot better individually now.
Okay, let's see where our junglers are going to head here, as we do see them on opposite sides of the map. Bottom lane priority is controlled by 100 Thieves. Blaber going to step forward here into the enemy jungle. Does not see a chicken camp or an enemy jungler or anything really to take, so instead just heads back up here to the river. Will take that Scuttle Crab. We already mentioned how Blaber likes to be able to play around these winning lanes, and crabs are still going to get split.
100 Thieves going for one last job.
One last job. Just one more.
Final split here in the LCS and LTA. And they're seeing if they can pull off the greatest heist of their lifetime.
A couple weeks ago, this would have been completely unthinkable, that they'd have a chance to eliminate Cloud9 like they did last year to end up going to Worlds. This isn't a Worlds qualification yet, but it could be a Cloud9 elimination if they keep pulling this off.
It's not a Worlds qualification, but it is a Worlds elimination, is the thing. Yeah, you could still have to qualify later on to get there, but you don't even get another chance if you lose here today. That's why I think this matchup is so intense between these two, especially considering the difference in expectation coming into it, right? This entire year, I feel like we've been talking about FlyQuest versus C9. Oh, that's the top two. Everybody's challenging. They're trying to break into the top two. But with the recent Cloud9 shaky performances and this 100 Thieves that has really come together in a way that we have not seen since, well, honestly, the beginning of the year, it's feeling really close.
Yeah, it is. But, this year, it has not been going C9's way in this specific matchup. We have seen that it is
two games
that they have actually been able to win. Not one, but two.
All right.
200% win rate.
Twice as many as one.
But they haven't dropped to them just yet. Of course, they haven't played a tremendous amount, but they are doing well against Cloud9.
They are. I think Yeah, David 100 Thieves was clear to point this out as well, so shout out to him for the stat. 200% win rate for 100 Thieves so far against Cloud9. I wonder how much C9, I think C9 will probably remember last year, the Worlds qualification that 100 Thieves managed to make it to the Worlds play-in stage by beating C9. That's going to be, I think, more at the forefront of their memory and not wanting to let that happen again.
All right, well, 5.5 minutes into the game. We have not seen any big attempts at plays come out just yet, but both of our junglers now are over halfway to level 6, and both of these ultimates are so powerful for ganking and playmaking. I'm expecting, at the very least, to get some kind of a move here once we see those jungle level 6s. Eyla has to defensively crash down to get away from Vulcan and Zven down there in the bottom lane as Blaber continues to hover around mid.
It's almost like he's waiting for River to try and gank. He's also just holding here so Loki can get the shove. Quid has level 6 and is freezing the wave, so there's the all-in.
Yep, Quid immediately jumps in. Loki down to 300 HP. Blaber going back after Quid, but it's first blood already to the other side as River picks it up. Now Blaber's got to try to escape. Flashes away. The 5-point strike takes him down to 50 HP. It's 1-0, 100 Thieves.
I mean, that was just so well played by Quid. Having the level 6 first, he was like putting C9 in such a difficult spot because Loki didn't want to back up and lose even more experience, so he had Blaber hovering him. And then the fact that they pull off the kill even after he was there is just so well played by Quid and River.
Well, it's actually really interesting because Blaber was hovering Loki to try to cover him on a potential all-in. But the problem is, look how close Loki got to level 6. He actually was just a hair away. He's soaking experience. So the shared XP, I think, actually meant the difference between him getting level 6 or not. Blaber had no camps to clear, so he's saying, I'm expecting an all-in, I'm expecting a play here, so I will cover. But, when you look at the experience, well, unfortunately, he has leveled up. He's been getting experience since then. But he was a hair away. So I really have to wonder if him covering there did actually leech just enough XP to prevent Loki from getting 6, and I think it did.
It's definitely possible, but I was also watching the earlier laning phase. Quid did so well with the fleet footwork Doran Shield Akali. He was actually the second one to reset in the mid lane. He teleported back without losing as many minions as Loki, so he was winning these like really tiny micro battles that led up to that moment where he was level 6 and Loki couldn't quite ping over the top.
And especially for a player like Quid that, again, we mentioned, this guy is known for his melee carries. This is kind of what he proved himself on. If you can get through the laning phase on Akali feeling strong, feeling unpunished, unchecked in terms of your ability to farm and scale up, you can be an absolute monster once the game goes on.
Yeah, no, honestly, even prior to that
looks like we're going to be getting back into game as they are saying they're ready. The cables have been replaced. Fingers crossed, that this is the last time that Zven's screen is going to flicker. Just a small gold lead here for 100 Thieves with it being concentrated on that mid jungle because of the early kill.
And you can see last week, how good Quid and River were. I mean, look at even the score lines. 23 and 30 is absolutely ridiculous. And we don't actually have his damage per minute, but his DPM, his average Quid for the series was like 950. Like nearly 1,000 DPM as your average for the series is absolutely disgusting. And River was involved in so much of that. Has been so active and a great start for him.
Well, he's going to smite down the first grub as C9 approaches to challenge for the remaining two. Zven and Vulcan already here. However, the 100 Thieves bot lane duo also on the approach. Grub number 2, that's going to be smote down by Blaber. 1-1 so far. Immediately, River going to get engaged on. Stuck CC. Loki taking the kill as River is left isolated by the rest of the Thieves. C9 pick up a freebie to tie it up in kills, and they're going to take the lead on grubs.
I was going to say, with the client right now, it looked like River was being super greedy, but his flash isn't actually up. He burned it in the first blood kill for Loki. I think the pause has desynced the graphics a little bit there, so that was just a smart ult by Blaber there. River didn't have the Q to escape, and they get the kill and the grub.
Yeah, didn't have his flash, but did still elect, he had the earlier Q charge up, and he decided, okay, I want to stay in. Maybe there's an angle for a fight. And then I think that's where Cloud9 say, all right, you have no flash, you have no Q, now we're going to engage. Now you're going to get punished here. So, yes, he did not have that flash, and that's great to call out because that spectator is desynced after that pause. But definitely did have the option, I think, to leave after that first grub. And wasn't sure if he wanted to or not because his bot lane was around on the top side. Quid was cheating down from mid lane. And I think he thought there was an opportunity that they might be able to take a fight. But either way, it is just that one kill. And 100 Thieves going to be able to grab a dragon off the back of that.
And getting the Drake off the back of it isn't actually that bad of a compromise. The kill going over is going to be really good for Loki so he doesn't fall too far behind in this Akali lane where he gave up the first blood. But 100 Thieves now one step towards that Dragon Soul.
Yep, you can see very, very modest gold leads here for both the mid and jungle of C9 after that exchange, that altercation at the Grubs. Also, a nice cozy little lead there, plus 200 gold for Zven on the Corki. He did get assist money contributing for that kill onto River's Vi. As we can see, Eyla clearing out some vision here. Both supports kind of at the point where they want to be able to roam around, try to influence some of the other lanes. Both of them do have the ultimates available, and both are running Spellbook, so I'm expecting some creativity here soon.
Yeah, I mean, Spellbook is so interesting because it's such like a kind of hit or miss type of rune, right? You know, when you don't have Aftershock, you are losing a lot of tankiness, especially in the early game where you're really relying on those stats, but you can get tremendous value out of something like that Spellbook Exhaust, right? But it's all about finding the right window of opportunity to get big value out of it. You know, the baseline is very low, and especially on a champion like Nautilus that I feel like is already pretty squishy, you've got to be sure about your engages.
All right, here's the engage topside now as Dokla is about to fall. Thanatos and Blaber will cut him to ribbons. Blaber taking the kill.
And Blaber getting 2 for 2 on his early Nocturne ultimates is really good momentum on Nocturne early on in the game. Whenever you can start using that basically on cooldown and getting positive plays each time, it's exactly how you want to play the pick. And that was just the simplest of all ganks. Just run top with the taunt. Now he's got his Hexblade locked in as his first item. He's off to the races, Ezreal.
Yeah, really, really well played there. And you can see Thanatos have been kind of constantly going in for those trades, so I don't even think Dokla really thought anything about it. You know, he had been scrapping with him pretty heavily. And there's not really any opportunity for Dokla to respond to it. He immediately knows he's dead. He doesn't even try to drop the equalizer on them. He just equalizes the wave to be able to clear that out to try to protect the tower. And as a result, he will lose some minions. He will lose his life, but he won't lose a plate. And so that at least is something. And so, you know, best of a bad situation there from Dokla. But Cloud9, you know, now up a little bit of gold here. Blaber getting active and having that experimental Hexblade is going to be really nice. You know, getting the ulti haste early on, being able to just constantly rinse and repeat these ultimates exactly how you want to play Nocturne. You just want to power farm and then ult every single time it's up.
So we mentioned the experimental Hex Plate being completed for Nocturne, of course, but there's also first items coming online in a couple of different roles here, as you do have the Hallowed Radiance completed for Thanatos. Loki completing his Rod of Ages at 12 minutes means round about 22 minutes into the game is going to be when he gets the full power spike from that one. Trinity Force on Corki also huge, as FBI's Ezreal isn't quite at the same power spike himself. Proto Belt on Akali is also just that much more burst on a champion that's already so burst heavy. Quid has the opportunity to really be an X factor in one of these upcoming skirmishes.
Just get a little bit of extra mobility as well. I think he's still in a comfortable spot in the game, especially once we move down to the side lane here. Feeling like one of the more immune to Nocturne ultimate champions with all of the extra tools now he has to outplay that. So we'll see how these side lanes evolve now that they've switched the lane assignments.
Yeah, I really want to see the first major 5v5 team fight and how that goes, how 100 Thieves will be able to navigate it, because I do feel like that can determine so much for the course of the game when you're playing. You know, for melee comp, you know, melee heavy comps in general, I just feel like it's hit or miss, right? You know, you get ahead, all of a sudden you hit a certain breakpoint where you deal so much damage that they can't survive the dive. But if you do not create that lead, it is so difficult to pull these comps off, you know, against Corki, against Nocturne, against Galio, all these champions that are naturally going to be able to punish you for grouping up. And 4 melee comps just have that tendency to clump as they're targeting the same person.
Yeah, and if we're using last week as any indicator for 100 Thieves, they're going to have some really messy, drawn-out fight where they're putting themselves in positions where they have to outplay. Last week, they were able to outplay against Team Liquid almost every single time they needed to. Actually, they were consistently down about 2,000 gold in the mid-game against Team Liquid and then fought their way back every single time. So, yes, they are down 1,000 gold, a little bit to the Galio, a little bit to the Nocturne. I don't think that necessarily worries them, but just kind of wait for that big fight, which will probably happen around one of these next two objectives.
And I kind of feel like that's signature 100 Thieves is that, you know, sometimes they'll take these fights, they won't go well, but they're going to keep taking them, right? And when this team really is rolling, they have so much confidence in their ability to execute on these plays that they'll take aggressive fights, and then even if it goes bad, they're just going to keep sticking with the plan. They're going to keep going back, and they're going to be looking to just kind of out-hands you in these 5v5s where they just have the confidence that they're just the better 5v5 team, and they have so much practice playing that style because of their aggressive nature.
All right, we've got less than 10 seconds on the clock before this next dragon spawns. He's roaring on the backside of the pit right now. However, there's also the additional reward of the Herald's going to be spawning here in 20 seconds. If one team just gets completely wiped here off of a bad fight, it's not just the Drake, it's probably the Herald right after. C9 are going to be first to start this up. Dokla's coming down here with the teleport, ready to join. You can see River charging up the Vault Breaker, goes into the backside of the pit, but now he's got to be a little bit careful as Paranoia has already shut off the lights. Nice taunt coming out from Thanatos, locking up the enemy jungler. Feet of Warfare secured alongside the Drake. Vulcan looks to get away over the wall, probably going to be killed off here by Quid as the rest of C9 works to take down 100 Thieves. Eyla, FBI, and Dokla all on the run. It's a 1-for-1 trade so far with the Drake going the way of Cloud9.
Pretty crazy that only ended up as a 1-for-1 because I thought the start was so good for C9. They managed to kind of catch River staring at the objective. It happened at the Grubs as well as the Drake here. Blaber just goes on him early before the Drake is in smite range, and they managed to take him out before he can really do anything in this one.
One of the critical things, though, is the Shockwave's a full whiff here from Loki. You know, he tries to hit this Shockwave, it looked like, onto him, and it seems like it just completely misses onto the Vi. I'm not even sure how it did. I don't know if that was a bug or what happened there, because it looked like it was right on top of him, but no damage comes out when the Shockwave is going down. I don't know if it's like a during fear thing, or because he was in the wall, or what was going on there. But when that happened, I was kind of concerned that they weren't going to be able to burst him down, that something, you know, might be possible to get turned around. But at the end of the day, they still do get the Dragon. Yeah. They're going to grab the Herald here, almost guaranteed as well. And Cloud9 wins that first major team fight, puts himself into a great spot. And you can see their carries, you know, going for a relatively tanky build here. We already have the Roa for Loki. He wants to make sure that he can survive the dive.
Yeah, and considering they got 2 out of 3 of the Grubs, they just won the Drake fight, and now immediately picking up the Herald after, that's also the feat of neutral objectives alongside the feat of Warfare that they hit first. So the boots are already secured for Cloud9 as well, on top of this 1,500 gold lead, on top of this objective advantage overall, and that lead is still going to climb further, or at least it should by expectations, once they drop this Herald.
Yeah, Blaber is also continuing to farm at a pretty fast rate when they drop that Herald. I think they're going to be looking for whatever member used their flash in the last fight. So River and Dokla, probably the main targets, even though FBI has no flash. He's got a flash on his kit with
he's still Ezreal.
He's still Ezreal, so I feel like they're going to be looking to attack Dokla potentially with that top lane turret being pretty low.
Yeah, and we'll see how on point they are, you know, with that Knockwave combo, if they can pull it off, because if you can pull it off perfectly, you can't even arcane shift it, right? Because it comes out right before you're arriving, like it's in the air. So even if you shift during that time,
yoink.
Exactly. You're just snap back and the Nocturne still arrives. So the timing has to be really, really good, both offensively and defensively. Zven's in trouble.
Oh, yeah. This Corki is not where he wants to be, and 100 Thieves are ready to collapse. Zven already down. C9 tries to get something back a little bit there, fighting back with Blaber, but now up in the top side of the river, Vulcan's about to get cooked. Quid picks up the kill on that one, and the Thieves are ready for a heist. Eyla coming around behind the turret. They don't have a minion wave, though, so there's not an additional play to make on Loki, but 100 Thieves just picked off both of the enemy bottom laners.
Yeah, that was really well done. They spotted Zven going through the portal, and everyone from 100 Thieves just piles in. They get the kill onto Zven. They get the flash off of Blaber, who tried to ult in and actually peel for him. And then on the other side, Dokla is able to do most of the work to actually take down Vulcan. So just like that, it's kind of the 100 Thieves MO. Yeah, they lost the first fight, but it doesn't mean they're going to back off the next one.
Maybe some 100 Thieves magic here. I mean, I think C9 thought the top lane turret was so free and potentially a dive was happening bottom lane, but then they were moving up really slow to cover the dive and just catch Zven taking that portal backwards. Immediately, everybody commits to that kill with 100% effort, and as you mentioned, Ezreal, Dokla then taking away the just Nautilus, who's behind the play with Redemption. Really squishy champion there that Rumble's able to take down.
Plus, on the end of the fight, by the time everything was already said and done, Thanatos was channeling his teleport. Teleports for a whole lot of nothing, and now it's Dokla who's in a little bit of trouble. There's your taunt after Blaber goes in for the initial engage, and Dokla is down. C9, strike back.
He couldn't get him top lane because the play fell apart. Guess what? He still has no flash, and they're going to do the same thing.
He's still good to go.
Yep, they go right back to it. And this time, there's nothing for Dokla to do. I mean, it's pretty much CC 100 to 0. When you have no flash, no one's around. Even if you flash, you're not getting out from that situation. So, pretty tough spot. Blaber, though, maybe going to get pushed out of his jungle. But as we do see Eyla recalling, River's not going to commit to anything crazy.
It's the confidence man play. You stay there, you don't even move your character, you keep farming that wolf, and the enemy jungler will psych himself out and leave. He won't even try to fight for it. He knows that something's got to be going on. Why would you just stand there?
It's absolutely the aura of the farming jungler.
It's the aura play.
Right there.
This is something in top lane I like to call outdumbing them. It's like where someone is in a losing matchup and they're just walking at you and you're like, his jungler has to be here. There's no way. You're backing up. You're overthinking it. Like, this is so stupid. I would just solo kill him. And then you see on the map 2 seconds later the jungler's bot lane. I was like, he just outdumbed me.
He's so bronze, it's challenger. He's just taking you out. All right, bottom side here. We do have our next Drake just about to spawn as 100 Thieves will take the Scuttle Crab beforehand, and River is ready to start this objective up.
Yeah, Dokla teleporting in as well. Galio and Orianna a little bit lagging behind. Blaber has ultimate, though. I think C9 is going to look to contest this one.
Yeah, C9's on the approach. The Dragon is already down to about half HP, but not dropping particularly quickly as Quid's going to go through the Hex Gate here. Blaber stepping forward with the Paranoia, but the Drake is already secured by River's Vi. C9 looking to disengage. Crash down Magnet Storm, doesn't find much of anything, and immediately Eyla is killed. Into the back line go River and Quid. They're looking for the damage onto Loki, but it's Zven dying first. Vulcan dying second. 100 Thieves turn on the afterburners, and C9 gets cooked.
They just full sent it, and Quid played that fight out beautifully, flying into the backline, drawing so much pressure. He gets over the wall with the Nautilus ult, so even when the Nautilus ult lands, there's no ability to follow up on it from Cloud9. He creates that space for his squad. He's able to ult back over the wall, help to finish off those kills. They get the smite, they get the fight. They're still down nearly 2K, but 100 Thieves are battling it out.
And Blaber and Loki are not on the same page with this Nocturne Orianna. Watch this. He presses the Nocturne ult, gets stunned, then the Shockwave comes out. I imagine Blaber is saying now, probably tried to activate his art while he was stunned, ends up standing in place. Then the re-engage after the Shockwave misses gives 100 Thieves so much confidence to fly in.
And look at how Quid played this out. You know, over the wall,
so
draws the Nautilus ult, River goes in, he helps to finish off that kill, then ults back over the wall to help get Zven, really playing it well. But, you know, I'm not sure if that first Orianna ult was a bug in the Dragon fight, but this one definitely looked like just a whiff, and a really nice Shattering Strike there from Eyla. The stun comes in denying what I think you're calling out.
Probably a combo.
Exactly. They're trying to go for that combo, and this time just gets stunned right when he wanted to go for it.
Well, right now, you can see who's on the map, who's arrived on the Summoner's Rift.
My favorite objective.
The harbinger of all doom has arrived. Otacon is on the map. He is the action man. There's usually some kind of crazy action that happens with him. That top lane tier 1 turret, thank you observers, 12 HP out of 5,000. Still standing on this thing, as now immediately 100 Thieves ready to go in after Blaber. They find a ton of damage and complete the kill with no response yet from C9. Thanatos teleports in, but he's immediately met by River, who stops him from being able to find a valuable taunt. Eyla, big crash down into the Magnet Storm, and 100 Thieves find another one. Eyla's still standing, and Cloud9 are torn to shreds. 100 Thieves, 4 for 1.
This is exactly what we saw from 100 Thieves last week. They are down a little bit in the early game, but they just keep fighting. And here, instead of letting Nocturne engage on them, they catch him in the river, they see him on that ward, they all in him before he can retaliate, really, before he has his teammates there, and then they just continue the play.
Exactly, and Loki can't join the team. He's getting pushed out by Dokla. Dokla even flashed on him. And then on the other side, it's Eyla with his dying breath. The beautiful multi-man engage. Quid and FBI are just free-firing. Zven realizes there's no way out. Dokla's behind me, so goes in to get that 1 kill back. But it's not only a crushing team fight, it's the Otacon right after it. And 100 Thieves showing their resiliency in these fights.
Yeah, that's going to be a big injection of experience as well. So they're up in Drakes, they're barely up in gold, but they're more so up in experience. And in terms of momentum, they have it as well, winning back-to-back fights. So what, again, was a good early game for C9 seems to be turning in the favor of the Thieves.
Absolutely. I mean, they were up 2K prior to that, and now you have to take into consideration all the pedal power. But Quid now, 2.5 items, has the Seekers done, has the Storm Surge. The amount of burst that's going to be coming out from this guy is pretty terrifying. And now he has the answer to the CC that's going to be thrown his way.
I mean, Cloud9 was ahead about 2,000 gold for the better part of the last 10 minutes, but you wouldn't have known that by just watching the fights. If you turn the HUD off, you would assume that it was a very close game, a very even game, and now it is actually dead even in terms of gold. 200 doesn't mean anything 25 minutes into the game.
It really doesn't. I mean, in terms of the team fights, Cloud9 just hasn't been able to execute on the Nocturne Orianna. they've been able to execute on the Nocturne Galio in terms of just seeing Rumble and using those two champions to kill Rumble, which I think was their plan from Champ Select, and then they said, oh, but also we can have the Nocturne Orianna for team fights. They've successfully kept Dokla down in this game. You can see 45 CS down. He can never really show in a side lane because he will get killed by the Nocturne Galio. But without the second step of that plan, actually winning team fights with your fed Nocturne, it's not going to convert to a victory.
I just really like how 100 Thieves are so confident to just pull off these engages onto Blaber. You know, there's multiple fights now where they are starting it out onto him. If Blaber shows himself, they're not going to allow him time to find that ultimate, to find that target. They are just full sending it. And then all you can do with the Nocturne ult is really just pop it for defense.
And now we have another Drake coming up in 22 seconds. And if there's a big fight, it would turn into Baron as well. So incredibly crucial moment in the game here as C9 tries to retake
River's
River.
behind them.
Yeah, River has already wrapped around. He is there in the pit on top of a control ward. He knows he is not seen. Quid goes through the Hex Gate, but now the immediate taunt and engage onto Eyla before he can do anything. Cloud9 has already found the first kill. Blaber's into the back line, but Quid has found the flank angle, and immediately C9 starts to scatter. River gets himself away as Quid continues and finds a killing spree onto the second enemy carry. This Akali is the main character of the show, and it's titled 100 Thieves. Blaber falls to 14-7, 2,000 gold lead for the Thieves.
Quid is such a menace. They make the call to go for Baron immediately after this as well. They've killed 4. It is only Vulcan alive. They are going to slingshot themselves ahead in this game.
What a swing over these last 5 minutes from down 2K to up. They're going to be up 4K after they take this Baron here. A little dicey there for Quid, but he knows his limits. His first death will not be to the Baron, and they are going to be able to secure this. The Dragon is still up and available. We'll see if Cloud9 can have time to try to rush out there and contest that, because otherwise, not only do you get the Baron, you get Soul Point here with Hextech Soul, which is so powerful. And 100 Thieves really feel like they're starting to run away with it. Quid has not been able to be stopped.
Yeah.
I questioned how this Akali would work in the draft. There's so much CC, but he's just navigating the fights perfectly.
Yeah, step 1, be Quid. And I think that's going to be a very important step.
I failed that step.
Making Akali work here.
That was your fatal error.
We don't have time for replay because they are straight up taking this Dragon, although C9 looks like they're going to concede it after that last fight went so poorly and them still not having good vision here. So 100 Thieves gets to have their cake and eat it too. The one team fight after the Otacon into the Baron, and
That's
now
actually
Soul
perfect. I highlighted the gold falling off a cliff.
You're
Thank
a
you to
genius.
this man right there.
Man, 100 Thieves, over the course of 10 minutes, and we're not talking about a late game 10 minutes, we're talking about a 17 minutes to 27, the gold has swung 7,000 in the favor of 100 Thieves, which is absolutely crazy how confident these guys are to play these neutral objective fights from a position where you are down a significant amount of gold and just say, no, we win.
Man, I mean, I'm thinking about that last fight. It even started well for C9 because we saw Quid take the portal off the back of the Dragon fight as C9 found the engage, but then it still wasn't enough once Quid arrived over the wall. So he's just styling on them once again. 2,500 gold up on this Akali.
I mean, and Isaac pointed it out earlier, Storm Surge, Proto Belt, there's so much damage here.
Yeah, here we can see it one more time. FBI, again, is in a good spot. Eyla tries to go for it, but gets deleted. Blaber goes in, but there's no one with him to really back him up, and it's River and Quid in onto Zven, immediately kill him.
And what's really impressive to me here is the trust that 100 Thieves has, and you can't really tell from this replay, but half of this fight was through Nocturne ult. So as Quid's flanking, he's just trusting that the fight is going fine and he's going to be able to react to whatever is there once he enters, because like the nearsighted is only about 600 range, so he didn't see that fight happening as he's approaching from the flank.
Well, Loki didn't see this one happening either, but unfortunately, he's not seeing anything now. Those eyes are closed for the next 50 seconds. 100 Thieves pick up their 15th kill of the game. They are 6,000 gold ahead. And gentlemen, 3 minutes from now, they have the opportunity to secure a Hextech Soul for themselves as well. C9 is quickly running out of options and running out of time.
They really are, and when you are in these kind of positions, you start thinking, okay, well, how do we get a pick? Or how do we get someone, killed right off the start of the fight? Well, there's an Ezreal with both sums. That's going to be really hard to do. Well, there's a Zhonya's in mid lane. There's a GA in the jungle. And there's a Seekers in top lane. So, who is this target that you're going to try to mythically one-shot to try to pull it back, right? All right, well, they did that last fight. Didn't work out for them. So give me another. Because that's what they're kind of facing down, is Cloud9 need to find, this perfect team fight And 100 Thieves are doing a good job approaching from different angles and not really grouping up to ever give them that multi-man taunt, multi-man shockwave. I feel like we haven't seen any effectiveness out of this Loki Orianna. We haven't been able to see that combo showcased really at all.
I mean, it has landed 0 times. Maybe once.
Blaber goes in, wants to find the kill into FBI, but he's not going to get it here just yet. Ayla creating a lot of space as Quid dives in yet again. Zven and Blaber trying to get away as the equalizer falls. Ayla re-engages. Zven's already down. Blaber's about to join him, but he barely hangs on. River looks for more. Vulcan's taken low and has to continue retreating, but River secures the kill there as 100 Thieves do not lose a single man and nearly ace Cloud9.
You could tell C9 was sensing desperation. They tried to pull off some magical Nocturne Orianna ultimate combo with the Galio. Once that whiffed, it was easy for 100 Thieves to run them down. All the major cooldowns were out for C9, and they can just clean them up.
And that pretty much feels like the death knell of Cloud9 in game number 1. It is now closing in on a 10,000 gold lead here. Yes, they're not going to actually finish the game, but they're taking so much off the map, stealing away jungle camps on their way out, and they're just going to get ready for this soul fight here in a minute 20. Go back to base, spend all your gold, and get ready to seal the deal.
Speaking of that gold, Dokla buying himself the fully completed Zhonya's now too, so we have permanent, constant aggro drop on everybody that matters on 100 Thieves.
How about a hat there for Quid in the mid lane?
Oh, not the headwear, man. This is a...
Also, River, just because he can. The Vi Seeker's arm guard.
The Seeker's on Vi.
This will be crucial, guys. He's going to find a way to use it.
That's some nasty work.
Dude, he just Sonya's Cloud9's entire mental. Like, you are just using that to boom them.
I feel like you're saving that for the screenshot at the end when the Nexus is
Turn
dying.
yourself into a golden statue.
Yeah, exactly. You cast a spell and then you just ult.
That is crazy.
That is some crazy work.
All right, well, I mean, hey, they're 9,000 gold ahead.
Yeah.
You have the Dragon Soul spawning here in about 30 seconds. What does Cloud9 even have a prayer of doing here?
No, nothing. I mean, honestly, if you're a River, you're saying this game is one more fight and I have 1,600 gold, what can I spend it on? That's probably the best thing.
Yeah, just
if
buy
you
this.
actually immune a Nautilus or immune the Shockwave or something like that, hey, I respect it. Let's see if it works.
All right, C9, this is pretty much the last chance. Let's see what they can conjure up here as 100 Thieves, the massive lead that they've earned so far in this game.
I mean, Loki hasn't even been able to finish his Zhonya's. His stopwatch has been broken for a couple fights in a row now. Yeah, 100 Thieves is starting and waiting for C9 to come in, and Quid has the flank.
All right, Zven and Vulcan got to be careful here. Quid behind the Dragon Pit. Drake down to half HP. 100 Thieves deciding they're going to go in now. Quid jumps over the wall. The Drake is already secured by River. Blaber tries to create some pressure, but he cannot make the space. Now 100 Thieves are ready for the full send, and Cloud9 collapses. There is no chance against this 100 Thieves team fighting. It's a triple kill for Quid. It's a clean ace for 100 Thieves, and it's a game 1 victory push.
The team fight was just flawless from 100 Thieves, dancing back out of the Galio ult. A perfect equalizer sets up the dive. As soon as that it lands and doesn't hit anyone, they crushed them.
No deaths on Quid, no deaths on FBI all game long. It didn't matter when they were behind in gold. They fought anyway, and 100 Thieves will earn this game 1 victory.
Style on the Nexus as well. Quid uses his Zhonya's. River stopwatched at the very end, so he used all the buttons that he purchased throughout that game. They are very confident after a dominant game 1 versus Cloud9.
Impressive stuff from 100 Thieves. Like I say, man, if we didn't have a HUD, we never would have known that Cloud9 had a gold lead in that one. 100 Thieves are looking fierce. Lounge, how does C9 deal with this?
I don't know how C9's dealing with this. Get more money bags?
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing to me is 100 Thieves didn't even take a tier 1 turret, I believe, until 25 minutes or so into the game.
Yeah.
And it was these incremental team fights, kind of like how we set up. How are 100 Thieves going to win? Through team fighting.
And you gotta deal with Sir Quiddington III. Quid is going crazy. This man has just been ballistic. I mean,